Dad Quiet Revenge. I came home on a Tuesday evening in late October to find a combination lock on my beer fridge. Not my kitchen refrigerator, my dedicated craft beer fridge in the garage, the one I'd been stocking for 15 years with the best Michigan breweries had to offer. Heavy-duty black lock, the kind you'd use on a storage unit. Someone had threaded it through the handle and the frame like it belonged there. My name is Gregory Matthews. I'm 58 years old, retired from Ford Dearborn plant after 32 years as a mechanical engineer. I own my house free and clear on Maple Street in Dearborn, bought it in 2010 after my wife Patricia passed away in 2008. That Tuesday evening, I set my keys in the bowl by the garage door, looked at that lock for a long moment, and said nothing. Beverly, my daughter-in-law, appeared from the kitchen doorway with a coffee mug in her hand, and that particular expression people wear when they've been waiting to explain something they know you won't like. "Oh, that," she said, nodding toward my beer fridge. "Vincent and I needed to separate our beverages from yours. It just makes more sense to keep everything organized." I looked at her, then I looked at the lock again. That's my beer fridge. Beverly. She took a sip of her coffee. It's a shared space now. This just keeps things cleaner. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I went inside, changed out of my work clothes. I still did consulting 2 days a week for a local manufacturing company, washed my hands, and stood at my bedroom window looking out at the garage where I'd spent countless hours restoring my 1967 Mustang. Let me back up here. My son Vincent is 35, has his dad's build and my stubborn streak, and a habit that's gotten worse over the years of disappearing whenever things get uncomfortable. He and Beverly have been married for 6 years. She provides the direction, he provides the agreement, and together they've built a life that works fine as long as everyone around them goes along with their plans. They'd moved into my house 8 months earlier. The story was they were between places. Vincent's IT position got eliminated in a company restructuring, and Beverly had left her marketing job to start a consulting business that hadn't started consulting anyone yet. They needed a few months, they said, just to get back on their feet. I said yes because he's my son, because the house has 4 bedrooms and I only use 1, and because I figured a few months meant a few months. By October, it was clear that a few months had quietly become something else entirely. Here's the thing about how this stuff happens. It never starts with a lock on your beer fridge. It starts small, reasonable. First, Beverly rearranged the living room furniture because the layout was inefficient. My recliner, the one Patricia had bought me for my 50th birthday, got moved to the corner where the reading light didn't reach. Then my good tools got moved to the top shelf in the garage because she needed the lower cabinet space for her yoga equipment and essential oils. Next came my habit of watching the Lions game on Sunday. Suddenly the big TV was needed for Beverly's virtual meditation sessions, always scheduled for kickoff time. When I suggested watching in the den, she explained that the sound would disrupt her chakra alignment from the living room next door. Then it was comments about my grocery choices, about the craft beer I bought from Bell's and Founders breweries, about how maybe I was drinking too much for a man my age, about the frozen dinners I'd been buying since Patricia died, how they were concerning for my health. Small things that made me wonder if I was being unreasonable, if my standards had gotten out of whack living alone for 12 years. Beverly was skilled at this. Never direct, because direct would be easier to call out. Always framed as being practical, efficient, making things work for everyone. She used the word everyone a lot, made it sound like my preferences were just one vote among many in a house where my name was the only one on the deed. That's the thing about being 58 and living alone after your wife dies. You start doubting your own judgment. You wonder if you're being too set in your ways, too protective of routines that maybe don't matter as much as you think they do. You begin to question whether your reactions are reasonable or if you're just being stubborn. Patricia would have shut this down on day one. She had a way of drawing lines without drawing blood, of making her position clear without making anyone feel attacked. I missed that clarity. I missed having someone in my corner who understood the difference between being accommodating and being taken advantage of. My daughter Joyce visited the last weekend of October. Joyce is 32, lives in Ann Arbor, works in software development, and inherited Patricia's gift for seeing through nonsense. She arrived Saturday morning, hugged me at the door, walked into the garage to check out my progress on the Mustang, saw the lock on the beer fridge, and turned to look at me with an expression I recognized immediately. It was the same look Patricia used to give me when she'd figured out something was wrong before I'd even fully admitted it to myself. "Dad," she said, "how long has that been there?" 3 weeks. She sat down on my workbench stool, the one I'd built from scrap lumber back when Vincent was in high school, and actually enjoyed helping me with projects. We talked while I worked on the carburetor, my hands staying busy, while my mind processed what I'd been avoiding thinking about directly. Beverly was upstairs doing yoga. Vincent was at a Pistons game with a friend. One of his increasingly frequent absences that I'd begun to understand weren't coincidental. Vincent had developed a sixth sense for tension, disappearing like smoke whenever the atmosphere in the house started to thicken. "What's your plan?" Joyce asked, handing me the 3/8 socket without being asked. I told her I had one, told her it wasn't finished yet, but it was coming together. She nodded the way she used to when she was deciding whether to trust my explanation about why her bedtime was 8 p.m. or why she couldn't go to that party when she was 16. "Good," she said. "What do you need from me? That's my daughter, Patricia's daughter. Direct, supportive, ready to help solve the problem instead of just talking about it." I'd started the plan 3 weeks earlier, the same night I saw the lock. I sat on the edge of my bed and thought it through like I used to approach a complex engineering problem. What do I know for certain? What do I need to find out? What are my options? What I knew, the house was mine, bought with Patricia's life insurance and my pension funds. My name was the only name on the title. I verified this the next morning by pulling out my file cabinet and reading through all the paperwork over my coffee. What I needed to know, whether Vincent and Beverly had made any financial moves involving my property without telling me, I had reason to wonder. A month earlier, I'd found a credit application on my printer that Vincent had forgotten there. Home equity line of credit using my Maple Street address as collateral. Hadn't been submitted as far as I could tell, but the fact that it existed was enough. What I needed to do, protect what was mine, do it right, and not give them any warning I was doing it. I called my lawyer the next morning. Her name is Diane Rodriguez, and she'd handled Patricia's estate and my refinancing back in 2010. Sharp, no nonsense, says what needs saying without extra words. I explained the situation. She listened without interrupting. "Come in Thursday," she said when I was done. "Bring the deed and anything else you've got." I also called my bank. Spoke with a loan officer named Paul. Explained I wanted to make sure there were no credit applications tied to my property that I hadn't authorized. Paul was helpful. No completed applications. The one I'd found had never been submitted, but it was in their system as a saved draft. Some of the tension in my shoulders eased, but not all of it. Over the next few weeks, I did several things quietly. Diane filed a notation on my deed requiring my in-person signature for any credit applications or transfers involving the property. She explained the legal mechanics, but what mattered to me was that the door was now locked from my side. I also started keeping records. Sounds more dramatic than it was, just a notes app on my phone where I wrote down dates and incidents with the same precision I'd used for 32 years writing engineering reports. The rearranged furniture with photos of the before and after. The move tools with a list of what got relocated where. The yoga sessions during Lions games with exact times and dates. A conversation I'd had with Vincent in September where I asked directly when they thought they'd be looking at moving out, and he said things would become clearer after the holidays without specifying which holidays or which year. The lock on my beer fridge, with the date it appeared and Beverly's exact words when I asked about it. I noted these things not out of anger, but out of clarity. In engineering, you document everything because memory is unreliable and assumptions will kill you. You need data points to identify patterns, to predict failure modes, to build solutions that actually work. Writing things down kept the facts straight. Kept me from second-guessing myself when Beverly would later claim things happened differently than I remembered. The documentation served another purpose too. It helped me see the progression clearly. Each incident by itself seemed small, petty even. But lined up chronologically, they told a story. A systematic story of someone testing boundaries, pushing a little further each time, seeing what they could get away with. The living room rearrangement in March, the tool relocation in April, the TV schedule disruption in May, the grocery criticism starting in June, the beer comments escalating through July and August, the lock appearing in October. It wasn't random, it was methodical. In early November, I made one more call. Reached out to Wallace, a contractor I'd used before when I had the roof redone in 2018. Asked him to come by for a consultation about converting part of the basement into a separate unit. I did this because I was starting to understand that the conversation I needed to have with Vincent and Beverly would go smoother if I already knew what came next. Having a plan for afterward made it easier to end the current arrangement without worrying about what happened after that. Wallace came on a Wednesday morning when Beverly was at a coffee meeting and Vincent was at work. We walked through the basement together. Good space, 8-foot ceilings, separate entrance through the side yard, bathroom already roughed in from when I'd considered finishing it back in 2012. Could have a decent one-bedroom unit down there in 3 months if you wanted it, Wallace said, measuring the main room. Kitchenette along that wall, maybe bump out the bathroom a bit. You'd be looking at maybe $15,000 to $18,000 for materials and labor. I said I'd think about it. But standing there in that basement with Wallace, looking at the potential, I felt something shift, like a gear clicking into place. Like I'd found the missing piece of a solution I'd been working on for months. The basement conversion wasn't just about creating rental income, though that would help with property taxes and maintenance costs. It was about having options, about not being dependent on other people's good intentions or their definitions of reasonable behavior. It was about having somewhere to put people when they needed help without having to give up control of my own space. That evening, after Wallace left, I sat in my garage with a Bell's Two-Hearted Ale, one I'd retrieved from my locked beer fridge by going to the hardware store and buying bolt cutters, and looked at my Mustang. She was a 1967 fastback Highland Green, same color as the one Steve McQueen drove in Bullitt. I'd bought her as a rust bucket in 2015, 3 years before Patricia died, and we'd planned to restore her together. Patricia never got to see the finished product, but I'd kept working on her anyway. Some nights when I couldn't sleep, I'd come out to the garage and sand body panels or adjust the timing or just sit and plan the next steps. Working with my hands helped quiet my mind, helped me think through problems without the noise of emotions getting in the way. The Mustang was almost done now. New engine, rebuilt transmission, fresh paint, all new chrome, just needed the interior finished and a few final adjustments. She'd be ready to drive by spring. Looking at her that evening, I realized something. I'd been approaching the Beverly problem the wrong way. I'd been thinking like someone who needed to negotiate, to find a compromise that worked for everyone, but this wasn't a negotiation. This was my house, my rules, my decisions. I didn't need Beverly's permission to drink my own beer. I didn't need Vincent's approval to watch football in my own living room. I didn't need anyone's agreement to set expectations for how people behaved in my home. I needed to stop asking and start telling. The Wednesday evening when everything came out in the open happened over dinner, and it was very calm. That's what made it work. I'd made grilled steaks. Did this deliberately. Vincent loves a good steak, always has since he was a kid, and I wanted the evening to feel normal until it was time for it not to. Also wanted to make a point. I'd been grilling steaks on my back patio for 15 years, and I didn't need anyone's permission to access my own beer to go with dinner. The lock had come off my beer fridge the previous Thursday morning. I'd found the model online, discovered that most locks from that manufacturer had a standard reset procedure using a paperclip and the default factory code. Took me about 10 minutes. I set the lock on my workbench and left a note beside it, folded once. The note said, "This is my house. I own it. Every room, every garage, every beer fridge belongs to me. I'm asking you respectfully and wants to remember that. I'm also asking you to set a date for when you plan to leave. I need that date in writing by the end of this week. I have a lawyer, I have documentation, and I'm prepared for whatever conversation comes next." That was all. I'd written it in my normal handwriting on regular paper. No drama, no threats, just facts. Beverly had texted me that afternoon, "Gregory, I think we need to talk." I'd replied, "Yes, dinner at 6, grilling steaks." So we sat down to dinner. Vincent carved the steaks while I opened 3 Bell's Two-Hearted Ales, setting one at each place, setting like I'd been doing at family dinners for years. Beverly stared at hers like it might bite her. We talked about the weather for a moment. This is Michigan. Weather's always a safe topic. The Tigers' disappointing season, whether the Lions had any shot at making the playoffs this year. Normal dinner conversation between a father and son who'd watched sports together for 35 years. Then I set down my fork and said, "I'd like to talk about the note." Beverly looked at Vincent. Vincent looked at his plate, then at me, then back at his plate. He cut another piece of steak, chewed it slowly, and finally said, "Dad, I know things have been. We've been meaning to discuss the timeline." "I'd like a date," I said. Specific, written down. Beverly started to say something, and I looked at her with the same expression I used to use when a new guy on the assembly line was about to do something that would jam up the whole operation. Calm, direct, final. "I'm not asking for opinions on whether the request is reasonable," I said. "I'm telling you what I need." The silence after that had weight to it. Vincent looked at me properly for the first time that evening. Really looked at me, the way he used to when he was a boy and had broken something and was deciding whether to admit it. He looked tired, like a man who'd been caught in the middle of something for months and hadn't figured out how to get unstuck. Like someone who'd been avoiding a conversation he knew needed to happen. "February 1st, he said quietly. Beverly made a sound, something between a gasp and a protest. "February 1st, Vincent said again more firmly, looking directly at me this time. "We'll be out by February 1st. "Thank you," I said. "I'll need that in writing before you go to bed tonight. Email's fine." Beverly set her fork down very carefully, the way you handle something fragile when you're trying not to break it. She looked at me like she was seeing someone different than who she'd assumed she was dealing with for the past 8 months. Like the ground had shifted under her feet, and she was still trying to find her balance. "I cannot believe you're doing this," she said. "We're family." "Yes, we are," I said, "and family members respect each other's homes. Family members ask before they lock other people out of their own refrigerators." Family members don't submit credit applications using other people's property as collateral. Vincent's head snapped up. What? The home equity application I found on my printer in September. It was in your name, Vincent, using this address. Vincent's face went pale. Beverly's went red. I never submitted that, Vincent said quickly. I know, because I checked with the bank, but you filled it out. You got as far as listing my property as collateral before you decided against it, or before Beverly told you it was too risky to submit without asking me first. Beverly stood up from the table. This is ridiculous. We're trying to get back on our feet, and you're treating us like criminals. I'm treating you like adults, I said. Adults who can make plans and stick to them. Adults who can respect boundaries and communicate clearly. Adults who understand that generosity has limits, and those limits aren't unreasonable just because you don't like them. She stared at me for another moment, then walked upstairs. Her footsteps were loud on the hardwood, each one making a statement I didn't need translated. Vincent and I finished our steaks in quiet. Not uncomfortable quiet, the kind of quiet that happens when two people have finally said something that needed saying and are letting it settle. Dad, Vincent said as he was clearing his plate, I'm sorry about the credit application. I shouldn't have done that without talking to you first. No, you shouldn't have. And I'm sorry about all of this. Beverly gets ideas about how things should be organized, and I guess I got caught up in going along with it instead of thinking about how it might feel from your side. I looked at my son, really looked at him. He was still the kid who used to help me change the oil in my truck, who'd learned to drive stick shift on the Mustang before I started the restoration. But he was also a 35-year-old man who'd let his wife put a lock on his father's beer fridge and hadn't said a word about it. Come for dinner in a few weeks, I said. After you're settled, call first. He nodded. I will. Vincent sent the email at 9:23 that night. One sentence. Beverly and I will vacate the Maple Street property by February 1st. I forwarded it to Diane Rodriguez the same night. What I want to tell you about the weeks between that dinner and February 1st is that they weren't comfortable, but they were mine again. Beverly became very quiet, which was its own kind of statement. She stopped rearranging furniture, stopped making comments about my grocery choices, stopped scheduling yoga sessions during Lions games. She moved through the house like a guest who was counting down the days until checkout. Vincent became more present. He came down to the garage some evenings and we worked on the Mustang together. Didn't talk much, but the not talking was different than before. It was the quiet of two people who'd said what needed saying rather than two people avoiding what needed saying. He helped me install the new carpet in the Mustang's interior, showed me how to sync my phone to the modern stereo system I'd had installed. We cleaned and organized my tool collection, something we used to do together when he was in high school and actually enjoyed learning how things worked. One evening in mid-January, while we were adjusting the carburetor, Vincent said, I should have said something about the lock. Yes, you should have. I knew it was wrong. It was easier to go along with it than to have the argument. I handed him the 7/16 wrench. Sometimes the argument you avoid today becomes a bigger argument tomorrow. He nodded, testing the idle speed. Beverly's not a bad person, Dad. She just gets ideas about how things should be, and once she's decided something makes sense, it's hard for her to see why anyone would disagree. I know she's not bad, I said, but good people can still do wrong things when they convince themselves those things are necessary. Joyce drove up from Ann Arbor one weekend in January. She helped me research what it would take to convert the basement space versus just renting out one of the upstairs bedrooms. We sat at my kitchen table with our laptops and coffee, the garage door open behind us, no lock in sight, and we made a spreadsheet. This is what the Matthews family does when we're planning something important. We make spreadsheets. Patricia started that tradition, actually. She'd sit at this same table with her reading glasses on, organizing everything from vacation budgets to Christmas gift lists to home improvement projects. The basement conversion makes more sense long-term, Joyce said, showing me the numbers. Higher rent potential, more privacy for everyone, better resale value if you ever decide to move. I'm not moving, I said. This is my house. I'm staying here until they carry me out. She smiled. Good. Then definitely the basement. Wallace's estimate seems reasonable, and with the rental income, you'll break even in about 2 years. On January 31st, Vincent and Beverly loaded the last of their stuff into a rental truck. Gray day, that particular flat gray that Southeast Michigan does in winter when the sky looks like old steel and the temperature hovers right around freezing. I stood on the front porch and watched them work. Beverly carried boxes without looking at me. Professional movers, efficient and distant. Vincent came up the porch steps twice. Once to return the spare key which he set in the bowl by the front door where it had always belonged. Once a few minutes later, without any obvious reason, he stood on the second step and looked at me. Snow was starting to fall, light flakes that melted as soon as they hit the ground. I'm sorry, Dad, for all of it. I believed him. I think there's a version of my son that knew what was happening in my house was wrong, and the version that stayed quiet about it for so long is something he's going to have to work out for himself. That's his job, not mine. Come for dinner in a few weeks, I said. Call first. He nodded. I will, and Dad, thank you for handling it the way you did. You could have just kicked us out back in October. You're my son, I said. I don't kick family out, but I don't let family walk all over me either. He got in the passenger seat and they drove away. I watched the truck go to the end of Maple Street and turn left toward the freeway, taillights disappearing into the gray afternoon. I went inside, put on a pot of coffee, stood in my garage and looked at my beer fridge, which was just a beer fridge again. Opened it and took out a Bell's Two-Hearted Owl. Stood at the garage door looking at the driveway where my Mustang would be parked once I got her running, probably next month. I was home. I'd always been home. But that afternoon, I felt it differently. The way you feel warmth differently after you've been cold. Wallace started on the basement unit in March. By May, it was finished, clean, bright, good little kitchenette bathroom with a shower I splurged on because it's my house and I can. Rented it to a guy named Carl, 45, divorced, works second shift at River Rouge Steel, quiet, pays on time, never asks about the beer fridge. The rental income covers most of my property taxes and puts a little extra toward my retirement savings. Joyce helped me set up the lease agreement and showed me how to report the rental income properly. We made another spreadsheet. I still do consulting work twice a week. Still watch Lions games in my living room with the furniture arranged exactly how I like it. Still buy the same craft beer I've been buying since I discovered Michigan breweries in the early 2000s. Vincent comes for dinner every few weeks. He calls first, like I asked. Beverly doesn't come with him, and that's fine by both of us. He helps me with the Mustang when the weather's good, and we're building something better than what we had before, a relationship based on mutual respect instead of just obligation. Some evenings I sit in my garage with a beer and work on small projects, and I think about what it costs to let things slide. Not all at once, but gradually, one small compromise at a time, and what it takes to stop sliding and get your footing back. It doesn't take yelling, doesn't take drama or revenge or making a scene. It takes clarity, it takes documentation. It takes knowing what's yours and being willing to say so clearly once in your normal handwriting on regular paper. It takes understanding that being kind and being firm aren't opposites. You can love your son and refuse to be pushed around in your own house. You can grill steaks and also have a lawyer. You can hold the door open and also hold the line. I want to say something to anyone listening who recognizes something in this story. Your house isn't just a building. It's the physical expression of the life you built, the work you did, the years you put in. When someone treats it like it's theirs to reorganize and control, they're not just being inconsiderate about space and stuff. They're telling you something about how they see you, and you're allowed, you're required, if you want to keep yourself intact, to tell them something back. You don't have to explain yourself over and over. You don't have to ask permission to drink your own beer or watch your own TV or use your own garage. You don't have to justify your choices to people living under your roof at your generosity. The moment you realize that generosity has stopped being generosity and become something that's being consumed rather than appreciated, that's when you speak up. Not in anger, in clarity. Here's what I learned in 32 years of engineering and relearned standing in front of a lock on my beer fridge. People will treat you according to the standard you demonstrate you'll accept, not the standard you say you have, the standard you enforce. Set the standard. Hold it. And if someone puts a lock where it doesn't belong, take it off. You have every right. It was your lock to remove. The best thing I did for my son wasn't letting him stay. It was teaching him that love without boundaries isn't love at all. It's enabling. Real fathers protect their sons from their own weaknesses, even when it hurts. Take it from a man who learned this lesson at 58. Your tolerance for disrespect will determine your quality of life. Set the standard early. Hold it firm and never apologize for protecting what you've earned the right to protect.